Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to go over spiritual wickedness in high places. And so I'm just going to go over what the Bible has to say about spiritual wickedness in high places and then show you that the Bible is true and that the world is really run by a bunch of evil people. And this is a fact. So I'm going to start with this first verse. It says in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 16. It's good to put this in context. It says, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? And so this is the reason I'm not going to stray too far outside of like what the Bible has to say. I'm not going to give you much more information on these guys. Because making yourself overwise is not very beneficial. It's not helpful. It's not constructive. I think a lot of people have a tendency once they hear about this stuff to read into it a lot, but I'd just say it's not really necessary. If it was necessary, the Bible would have it in there, speak about this more. We just have to be concerned about what we're doing. And so Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 to 12 is going to warn us about these people. We got to keep going and just worry about saving souls, putting on the whole armor of God. It says in Ephesians chapter 6, it says, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11 says, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. 1 John chapter 3, verse 13 says, marvel not, my brethren, if the world hate you. And so the world is not on our side. The world is in opposition to Jesus Christ, those who run the world, especially. And we'll see in Acts chapter 4, verses 8 to 11, this is why I'm going to speak a little bit on the Masons. And it says, Acts chapter 4, verse 8 to 11, it says, Peter was speaking here. He was speaking to the rulers, the elders of Israel, the rulers of the people. And he says, this is the stone which was sat at naught of you builders, which is become the head of the corner. And so it seems as though they might have been calling themselves builders for quite some time. It's interesting, but of course they rejected Jesus Christ. And we'll see who runs the world are the, Christ-rejecting modern-day Jews and the Catholic Church. And I've discussed the Jesuits before, that they work under the Black Pope. If you guys have seen my Catholic Church, my video on the Catholic Church, it goes into a little bit of detail there that the Jesuits are something to be wary about, that they've run things for quite some time. And the Jesuits are responsible for the creation of these Freemasons, but I'm not going to go deep into their history. Behind me, you'll see a slide about World War II. And for those who are interested how Hitler became, how he got to where he went, how he got into power, it was due to a Catholic leader of the Catholic Party in Germany at the time. It was Franz von Papen. And he was very responsible for getting Hitler into power. He was Catholic, right? Leader of the Catholic Party. Here we have the Pope and Hitler saluting each other. Hitler and the Jesuits, I have a quote from Hitler. He said, I learned much from the order of the Jesuits. Until now, there has never been anything more grandiose on the earth than the hierarchical system of the Catholic Church. I transferred much of this organization into my own party. So this is from the Secret History of the Jesuits book. So the SS was constructed after Jesuit principles. And yes, Himmler was closely associated with the Jesuits. For those who know who Hitler was, and Also, if you know who Goebbels was, Joseph Goebbels was also a trained Jesuit. So he was a Jesuit himself. Mm, Here, yeah, we have a statement that Mein Kampf was written by a Jesuit. It says it was a Jesuit priest, Father Stempfle, not Hitler, who really wrote Mein Kampf, and this came from Leo Lehman, H. Lehman, 1942, American historian. So if you're wondering about the source on that, but it's quite interesting. It could have been a Jesuit priest, and most likely was a Jesuit priest who wrote Mein Kampf. And here you have from a German newspaper. It says der Reichsbischof Ludwig Miller begrüßt von Adolf Hitler führte die evangelischen Kirchen in den Nationalsozialismus. It means the imperial bishop Ludwig Miller welcomes Hitler and leads the Protestant churches to National Socialism. And so, yeah, you have an issue with that even to this day, arguably, with many churches in Germany. They're not the best, but yeah, they're shaking hands, these Protestants, with the, Hitler here we have. So they're not the greatest that run Germany and German churches, even to this day. But it just shows a little bit of the history there and the connection between the Catholic Church and evil, really. I didn't talk about this in my Catholic presentation, but this would go perfectly in there. I'm going to go and show you a list from this presentation I developed a while ago, but it's a list of like all celebrities and kings of the past who have been Freemasons. So I'm going to pull that up real quick. So again, I did a lot of work on this in 2021, but yeah, it's a lot of compiled information about quite a few things. But yeah, so I'm not going to go over their hierarchy of stuff all that much. All you need to know is that yeah, you have the Christ rejecting Jews and the Catholics mostly. And you know, there's some other names, but I'm not going to go over them. So yeah, you have the Freemasons, and really, like, I think that's what's being mentioned here in Acts chapter 4, verse I think 11. So that's as far as I'm going to go. I'm going to talk about these guys because the Bible briefly mentions them. And so you can see that these guys, there's a ton of famous figures, and I got slides and slides and slides of famous Freemasons. You got Buzz Aldrin, Benjamin Franklin, Churchill, Randolph Churchill, not Winston. This was Winston Churchill's father, who founded the Churchill Lodge. And William Winston Churchill was also a Freemason, though, so it's not like Winston wasn't a part of that. I got to fly through this. Lewis and Clark were also Freemasons. Santa Anna was a self-proclaimed Freemason, but there's no necessary evidence for that. John J. Pershing, if you know that guy. John Penn, governor of Pennsylvania. Founded the first lodge in Philadelphia, I suppose, it seems. James K. Polk, Steve Wozniak, got Richard Pryor, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Warner Brothers, Mark Twain, possibly Henry Ford, Houdini, Lord Chesterfield, Oscar Wilde, um, John Glenn, J.C. Penney, Macy, Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, Nat King Cole, Shaquille O'Neal. Debated that Billy Graham was. Walt Disney was one. H.G. Wells. Baylor, founder of, I think, Baylor University. Charles J. Bell, brother of Alexander Graham Bell. Bowie, James Bowie, Woodsman. Pierre L'Enfant, American Pacific War, I guess, hero. Many kings, Leopold the First, Karl Friedrich, Maximilian First. Yeah, plenty of names. Kings of Denmark from 1746 to 1947. King of Baden, Germany, Frankfurt, Hanover. Emperor of Brazil, Austrian army. Kings of Greece have been Freemasons. Kings of Holland, King of Jordan, King of Mexico, Hawaii. They've had kings and they've all been Freemasons. Kings of Moldova, Montenegro, Naples, Ottoman Empire, King of Poland, Prussia, many in Romania, Serbia, lots of Serbia, and the Sikh Empire. Orient of France, Spain, King of Naples, King of Sweden, lots of Norway, lots of Freemasons in Sweden. They've run that place for a while. King of Britain, lots of Britain, India, Yugoslavia, King of Ghana, Muhammad Ali dynasty in Egypt, sultans of Egypt, and Bahamas. But yeah, so I'm not going to go into a lot of these guys, what they worship, but you can see that in their book they mention Pythagoras, Jesus, Hindus, illumination, triangles, the sun, death. They're a big fan of the word infinite, the zodiac and Mars and Jupiter and magic. They talk about a lot of like witchcraft crap, and numerology and worshiping numbers. And they have, I guess what I'll mention, only this one page, is that this quote from the book. It says, "The Templars, like all other secret orders and associations, had two doctrines, one concealed and reserved for the masters, and the other public, which was the Roman Catholic Church." So, yeah, it's interesting. So these guys have this front, but really they're Satanists. And yeah, they have an initiation ceremony. They drink out of a human skull. They say, "May this wine I now drink become a deadly poison to me as hemlock juice drunk by Socrates, should I ever knowingly or willfully violate the same." So they got some weird stuff they're into, because they're Satanists, right? They found a lot of hospitals to seem as though they're nice people. Shriner Hospitals for Children, if you've heard of them. So they do a lot of this philanthropy to make it as though you'd never think they do anything wrong, but they're running the show, and they are not nice people. They do not think very highly of people outside of their organization. They consider people animals who are not them, really. So they believe they've been illuminated to like godhood. And yeah, many of the gods mentioned, they're just the same type of thing. A lot of famous people, meeting the Pope, everyone has to kind of suck up to him. They're just trying to unite the world against God. Again, like the Tower of Babel. Nothing new. I'm not going to go into the symbols that they have. But yeah, those are a lot of the kings, a lot of pictures of those kings. And I'm going to stop here. Not really going to go into a lot of detail with this because, the Bible doesn't really talk about it. So just know the world has all this evil in it, and don't be surprised. The Bible is true. So no surprise there. And Jesus said in John chapter 15, verse 18, if the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. And Luke says that blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven, for in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. So, when the world hates you, be happy. You're doing the right thing. All that will live godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. So, yeah, leap for joy in that day. It may not be easy to do that. You may feel terrible in that day, but, that day is likely to come if you're living for God. Yeah, just remember what's said here. So this is as far as I'll go into this probably ever, unless I guess there's some requests for like a little bit more to be covered about them. I don't see myself going much deeper in this because I don't want to make you guys over wise about, there's no reason to be wise about evil, to know more about that. I wouldn't encourage reading much about, into their literature, what they believe explicitly, because the Bible tells you they're like snake and goat and calf worshipers, and they're worshiping Satan, and we're not to have fellowship with devils. They're worshiping idols all the time, and they have all these symbols, and they think they're so secretive with their symbols. And I guess it's important to know that they're a big fan of triangles and pyramids, and ISIS and all these gods of Egypt, and they want to bring this occult religion and make it like the world religion, basically. But the Bible warns about all this stuff, so just stay vigilant. And this is all I have to share. This is spiritual wickedness in high places. I hope this was found to be sufficient. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and maybe some more people can know about this. But I'm going to steer most of the topics I cover kind of like away from this. I'm not trying to steer further into it because the Bible doesn't have any more to say about it. So I'm not going to go deeper, because then you have to go extra biblical and stick with the Bible. I think most people, when they look into this stuff, they don't read the Bible enough. Just stick to the Bible, and that's all I have to say for now. But thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video.